to God and let him take over. The doctor said that the cancer had turned on itself and had begun to eat itself. Within a few weeks, my dad was cancer-free. With a second chance of life, my dad decided that he was going to live it in servitude and help the people of his community. In 2008, my dad decided that he did not have enough work and wanted to become a counselor or a life coach. He studied and he practiced until he became a licensed life coach, and he decided that he was going to offer his services free of charge so that he would be able to help people of all walks of life. People from family members to strangers, from employees to employers, and from acquaintances to people that he just met in Walmart or Kroger. My dad sacrificed his free time to serve the people, even when it meant missing an episode of Dancing with the Stars. But most of all, he used his talents and his new skills as a life coach with his family. He became an exemplary father and a role model that me and my brothers look up to. Dad, I'm so proud of you. Every day a son strives to make their father feel proud. But today I can say that I am proud of you. Congratulations.
I knew it would be a very special evening, an emotional evening. However, having one of my sons introducing me is extra super special. So thank you so much, Alec. I am so touched and so honored to receive this award. When I moved from France, where I was raised, and I came to this country, one of the first expressions in English I learned was, "It takes a village to raise a child." Well, I can tell you tonight, it takes strong friends, a very special mentor, an amazing church, and of course a very strong family to raise a man. I am just so blessed to have them all tonight here and to have them in my life. I want to thank my dear, dear friend, Dr. King, who's with us tonight, whom I have known for 18 years. And for the past 18 years, we have met every single week. And we talk and we just go around the world again and again and again. I have so much respect for you and have so much admiration. And you're the best, by far, mentor any man can have. And I'm so proud to have you as my friend. I would like to thank, indeed, my pastor, Gentry, and the entire team around you. Your patience, your love, your teachings, and your guidance have absolutely no limit. And of course, last but not least, my family. I love you so much, Alec, Matthew, and Jonathan, my 3 boys. And of course, my wife of 21 years, Catherine. I am truly here tonight because of you. You are truly the reason I'm here. I love you so much that I pray to the Lord that I will be the first one He takes, because I can't make it without you. This award is truly an award that celebrates love, patience, effort, forgiveness, perseverance, but most importantly, change. Little Marie was 8 years old when she first approached her mom with a very interesting question. She said, "Mom, where do I come from? Who made me?" The mom, under control, with a little smile, replied, "Oh, it's very simple, honey. God. God made Adam and Eve, and Adam and Eve had children, and the children had children, and so forth. So God made you." The little girl smiled, went back to her room, and continued to play until the father came home. She went to the father, and she said, "Dad, I've got a question for you. Where do we come from? Who made us?" And the dad, a little smile on his face, under control also, replied, "Oh, honey, it's very simple. We come from monkeys. We come from apes." And the little girl turned around, went back to her room, and played. But she was bothered. Something was not right. So she went back to her mom and told her, Mom, I'm so confused. I came to see you with a very specific question. You did answer. You told me God made us. But then I went to Dad, and he told us that we came from monkeys and apes. I don't understand." Well, the mom, still under control, still smiling, told the following to the little girl. "Oh, it's okay, honey. There's nothing confusing about this. When I answered your question, I was talking about my side of the family." Cute little story. But truly, I was that man. I was that father. Until my wife opened the door in a loving and very patient way and welcomed the Lord into a house, and a house became a home. In 2007, then, devastating news. I was diagnosed with cancer with only 1% chance of making it. First reaction is not to believe it. So we sent all the results to France, where my mom rushed to some doctors who brought the same news. It's really not good. But the best doctors are in the United States for that type of cancer. Do not have him over back home and have the surgery. Let the doctors in the United States take care of it. I became angry, lost, completely confused, and very frustrated. My wife came home. She took over so that I could go behind Washington and Lee in the woods. I needed to speak to the Lord. I had prepared a speech, a very selfish speech, a very self-centered speech. And I was going to tell him, why me? Why now? I think I'm a good person. I'm trying to do what's right. I love you. I've got 2 kids. I'm only 41. Why now? This does not make any sense. Why are you allowing this? I looked around in the woods. There was no one. I was still embarrassed and a little bit ashamed. So I didn't want to be seen talking to the Lord. I raised my hands. But the words that came out had nothing to do with the speech I had prepared. The words that came out were not under my control. However, I could hear them very well, like a different person in me was talking to him. And this is what happened. Lord, if it's my time to go, then take me. But I have one request for you, only one. That my departure would bring someone closer to you. If it's not my time to go, please tell me what to do. I love my job, but this is not fulfilling. I would like to really, really serve you. No later than 3 days later, the Lord spoke, which I had never experienced before, and gave me the guidance of becoming a life coach in several areas and also a counselor in marriage, with a clear instruction not to charge a penny, not to charge anything, that He will provide for everything that my family and I would need. Not long ago, someone in a session asked me what the biggest lesson so far was that I had learned. I'm a movie freak, and I love wonderful ending stories. Forrest Gump said one day, life is like a box of chocolate. Well, I can tell you tonight that my story is not a box of chocolate. My story is in fact a mayonnaise jar. And this is the biggest message I'd like to share. The biggest message that has affected my entire life as a husband and as a man. A professor stood for his philosophy class one day, and he had a few items in front of him on the table. Very quietly, he grabbed an empty mayonnaise jar, and he proceeded to fill it with golf balls. He then showed the jar to the class and asked the class if the jar was full. They all agreed that it was. He then picked up a box of pebbles and poured them into the jar. He shook the jar very lightly, and the pebbles rolled into the open areas between the golf balls. He asked the class again if the jar was full. And once again, the class agreed that it was. He then picked up a box of sand and poured the sand into the jar. And of course, the sand filled everything else. He asked one more time the class if the jar was full. They all responded with a unanimous yes. Then the professor produced 2 cups of coffee from under the table. He poured its contents into the jar, effectively filling up every space between the sand. The class laughed. And when the class began to be quiet again, the professor delivered the following message that has changed my life. I want you to recognize, class, that this jar represents your life. The golf balls are the things that matter the most in your life. God first. Your family, your children, your health, and your friends. The pebbles represent what is also important to you. Your job, your career, your car, your house. But if everything was taken away from you, if everything was lost, and only the golf ball remained, your life would still be full. The sand represents everything else, the small stuff. So you see, if you pour the sand into the jar first, you have no space, no room for the pebbles and the golf balls. So it goes with life. If we focus on the small stuff, things that don't really matter, we have no room for what is crucial to our happiness. We have no room for our Lord. The class cheered, clapped, they had gotten the message. However, a young student, a young lady raised her hand and asked the following question: how about the coffee? What does the coffee represent, please? And the professor smiled, looked at the young lady and said, I am so glad you asked that question. It goes to show you that no matter how busy life seems to be, there is always room for a couple of cups of coffee with your best friend. I'd like to share with you truly what I have learned from ordeal with the cancer and life in general, is that things that truly, truly matter should never be left at the mercy of things that matter the least. And finally, I'd like to conclude by sharing a quote from a very, very famous lady, Mother Teresa. She said, let us make one point, that we meet each other with a smile. And when it's difficult to smile, keep smiling. Smile at each other. Make time for each other, especially time for your family. Thank you so much for this award. It means the world to me. God bless you.